Hello, hello. All right, well, namaste to you, gang. This is Unthink Me. We are the decreasingly imaginary collective that does not identify itself as such, called Unthink Me. We got a fantastic presentation for you today, 12 stages of consciousness in horror films. Now, 12 stages of consciousness may require a little unpacking, but what is horror films exactly?
Horror films to me derive fear. It's not some sort of other emotion. It's just fear.
That's what makes it horror. You're scared of it. Okay, now 12 stages of consciousness. This is a big theme in our channel. We've done lots and lots of videos about it. It's coming from Ken Wilber's integral theory. He's an author philosopher, adapted from spiral dynamics. These are just 12 stages that can show up in me, my consciousness, your consciousness, our consciousness together as a group, and in the technology and infrastructure of society. All at once, they emerge in all these things, and we're calling them stages of consciousness because consciousness is what we are, what we create. As we go about this process of analyzing horror movies, there's a lot of different things we can look at. We can look at the 12 stages of consciousness in terms of the way the story is told, the way the film is made, the backdrop, the setting where it takes place. But what
The
we're going to do a lot
perspective
of,
of the protagonist v the antagonist. Like there are multiple stages in every movie. We understand that.
And they can change
yep, there's
within a
multiple,
movie or maybe over the course of like a series
Oh
of
yeah.
movies. So
and that's what
that's
we like
something
to
to
see is
consider.
that's the development that we're talking about through stages. Ascension or regression through stages may actually occur in the plot of a movie, as hopefully we'll find examples of that. And so we're gonna we've chosen one film to represent each stage, and we'll explain why. And we'll also bring up little examples of other films that evoke that stage of consciousness as well in various ways. Does that sound
And there
pretty
Sounds
will,
good to
good?
me.
and there will be spoilers.
Oh,
Oh, spoiler alert
spoiler,
Spoiler alert.
for
Yeah.
50-year
spoiler
old
all
boys.
For
around.
very old
If
movies.
you haven't seen it,
That's on you.
yeah, that's on you. Go watch it.
Yeah, we're not good at keeping that stuff in the pants. And I mean,
I'm
gee,
James.
uh,
I'm Danielle.
oh, hi. Okay, and I'm
Hello.
Adam. Yeah, those are our
Welcome to Unthink Me.
Welcome.
welcome. Thanks for staying tuned with us. Be sure and hit that subscribe button, especially also the like button and comment and hit our Discord. Let's crack in. The
Let's dig in.
first stage of consciousness is the first, you know, animals were not really putting on this spectrum. Plants were not really putting on this spectrum. So this spectrum pretty much applies to human beings. So where we find human beings when they first evolve is stage one. We're calling that infrared. Infrared because it's not quite in the visible range yet. We're not quite fully self-conscious. We're still kind of pseudo animals. This is that bridge
I
between,
need to be warm. I need to be fed. I need to be safe. Survive. Survive.
yeah,
That's
just
it.
animal
That's all she
stuff.
wrote.
And on a intelligent human complex neocortexified brain, but still basically being an animal. And I call it any old baby because any old baby born is at infrared and needs to be taught further stages of consciousness, or else they'll continue being a pseudo animal, sort of baby like creature, just pursuing immediate relief from suffering and pain and fear in the moment without like really strategizing, without much language, and without much culture. And so when we're looking for a movie, we got to find something that has maybe cavemen, uh, Paleolithic action, maybe a person that's been kind of stripped of their ability for language and culture. It is not a thing that's going to show up a whole lot in present day culture or society
Hmm.
because it would just, a person would develop out of that pretty quickly. They would see memes out there and adapt them. So the first stage, infrared, is kind of hard to find examples of, but we're going to do our best. Now, there are caveman movies. They're not particularly horror, and
I'm
so
waiting for
we
that one.
didn't. Hmm? We
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we couldn't really find an example that was full on caveman horror movie, although it's a kind of a good idea, right?
It's hard
Being
as a Homo sapien. It's hard to relate to the fear of pre-Homo on the evolutionary scale of humans as we are today. I can't relate too much with Heidelbergensis's daily fears. It's
uh,
not something that oh yeah, I can empathize.
if someone punches you in the gut, you feel exactly the same as they do, but you have all this crap going on in your head different than they do. They're just feeling
Mhm.
that punch. Ugh. Yeah, on a very visceral level. So there aren't a lot of examples of the historical emergence of it, but we try to think of examples where maybe people in a modern setting are being placed in a situation where they're just up against those fundamental
Very primal.
concerns:
Yeah.
cold, hunger, um, being drowned, animal
Predation,
attacks.
predators.
Because for early hominids, predation was a very real concern. We hadn't yet killed off all the creatures that enjoy feasting on us or toying with us to death. Anything where a person is kind of taken out of society and placed on their own in the woods, forced to fend for themselves, naked and afraid. There are no infrared filmmakers. They can't make movies. They don't tell stories. They don't really have enough language ability to tell stories other than
They're
like,
busy trying to survive.
yeah, like it might be like like look out danger or something. That's about as far as stories go.
I think the one we think of would be Jaws, right? Jaws, because the shark, from the shark's view, he's just trying to survive, right? He's in a very primal stage. Everything he does
Instinctual.
is out of instinct. Exactly.
I think the biggest fear derived from this movie, and it showed very much in the public, is when we are in the ocean, we can't run. We can only swim. We can't hide because it's the ocean. So there is the primal fear being driven from us, is that we're out of our element. As
Mhm.
soon as the smartest, most cunning, most survivalist human on earth is plopped in the ocean, most of your skills are gone.
Mhm.
So it's very just survive fear.
I had that nightmare a lot where you're in a big body of water and just some dark mass is rising up towards you and you can't tell what it is. You can't see through the water, but you know it's big and it's coming at you. Could be a nice, pleasant blue whale or something, but it's probably coming to kill you. And
Especially, yeah. I think a lot of people, had a fear of water after that movie. I mean, and just irrational fear. I mean, of the bathtub, of the toilet, like I don't know,
oh yeah,
pools. It didn't even matter. It was just so like
they put
deep.
out a movie like that, and all of a sudden everyone's afraid to go into the ocean. Everyone, all of a sudden, like that fear grows and builds. And any animal attack movie has that effect. Like when Arachnophobia came out about
Yes.
spiders attacking people, all of a sudden people are slightly more afraid of spiders, and some of us
Hmm.
quite a bit
Yep.
more.
You made them like what, 10 times bigger or 100, I don't know, 1,000 times bigger. So
Yeah.
Is arachnophobia
how big were they?
average?
This
Oh,
was
from
the one
like
with Jeff
the
Daniels,
original.
and it's like I think it was
John
um,
Goodman. Yeah.
I
Oh.
think the story was a deadly, highly venomous spider like bred with like a house spider, so
From
it
yeah,
made this
from the rainforest,
Oh, I see.
undescribed rainforest somewhere in the
smuggled in
world.
on a shipping
Seen
container.
in yeah, and then crossbred with like a local house spider.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was thinking of the more recent one with like Dave Arquette or whatever. And that aren't they really big? Oh no,
Eight-legged
that's
freaks.
Eight-Legged Freaks. Oh my gosh.
Oh
Okay,
So that
boy,
was a
sorry.
I
giant
thought I was
spiders
getting
movie.
excited that there was a remake.
Jaws, right? It takes place in a modern setting, so it's not fully infrared.
1970s modern.
Right, yeah, and we could talk a lot about like the stages that come into play in that film, but we're not up there yet. So we're just kind of focusing on bodily bodily fear and fear of animals. And this is something that we have today in common with infrared. None the stages don't disappear as you go up, you stack on top of them. So we're all still any old baby with a bunch of crap added to it. we all have in common a fear of bears, a fear of lions, a fear of sharks, and a fear of other hominids. If we saw one, we'd be pretty frightened of it.
Take any old person from any city and drop them into the middle of the woods. You're pretty infrared right away.
Mhm.
Like everybody. Some people might have slightly better ability at understanding and avoiding predators. Some people might have slightly better ability of, staying warm, but we are all still just trying to survive.
Man, I had the most mind-blowing like infrared experience myself where like I got lost in the woods, just like you're saying, and I got increasingly infrared to the point where I was like I was just like so focused on everything that would like move. It was dark, I couldn't see my path, I was cold, and I just had to get to safety. And I got increasingly like irrational, like I
Mhm.
afraid of things that
Mhm.
don't actually exist, just straight up fear. Then when I finally got to my car, it just immediately like do 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 do. Like okay, I turned the heat on, I got my car on, like everything's back to normal. I'm me again. Culture exists. There's nothing out there that was silly.
All
You're
of a
safe.
sudden, I care about the cost of tea in China again.
I mean, that's a good, if you want to experience infrared now, yeah, like lock yourself in a dark attic that's cold, go out in the woods, go swim out into a deep body of water.
I don't recommend getting lost intentionally, but that's it.
Mhm.
You got it.
With proper precautions. Yeah.
Well, proper precautions, then you're not so afraid anymore because
Yeah,
survival's
okay,
taken
well,
care of.
yeah.
You got to get lost with no survival tools with you, pure infrared.
Yeah, I guess if we're fully reduced to infrared, we are not in a good safe place, and that's the whole point.
Right.
Yeah.
Talked about Day After Tomorrow, where
Hmm.
the antagonist is
Nature.
cold,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cold.
That was
Yeah.
on TV just the other day, and yeah, like the CG wolves in that are so awful. But this was a
They're
global
amazing at the
warming
time. How dare you?
picture with Jake Gyllenhaal, and the this enormous like cold front is coming that like immediately freezes and kills everyone and
And it's
everything.
chasing them
And they're
down
no,
At one
down the
point, yeah, at one
library,
point,
like
it's
hallway.
chasing.
Yeah.
It gives the illusion of chase, but like 1 inch this way is deathly cold, and 1 inch this way is tolerable,
Mm,
and it's coming for you.
yeah. And it's coming quick.
yeah. What about Hunger? Any Hunger movies?
Maybe Castaway.
Oh.
We
Mm-hmm.
talked about that one a little bit. It's not a horror. It's not even a suspense, but it definitely took someone and threw them into a infrared situation.
And a great example where we can see the progression of stages in the character, like from starting at that infrared starting point, he starts to go through the stages, and so we can even like go in as we introduce new stages, like watch how those come out in Castaway. We also did again more suspense, less horror, but The Revenant was another movie that we brought up, more of a recent movie having to do with pretty strictly survival, but a little some revenge and some survival.
We start out the film with someone who is capable of handling themselves completely alone, but then once their physical health and physical well being was compromised, back to pure survival because all those tools of survival, which meant being able to walk, being able to use your arms and legs
Mhm.
very well and with dexterity, are gone. So now we're back to infrared survival.
An interesting kind of fringe case is going to be zombies,
Mm.
depending on what zombie lore you have. But we had kind of determined like the zombie is stripped of all of its like intellect and language and culture and is pretty much just a body with goals, like the goal not being necessarily survival, but in their
It's like exact opposite. As the reason zombies are scarier than vampires and werewolves is because they have zero self-preservation mechanism. It
But
does not matter if they tear themselves apart trying to get to you. In most
yeah,
of
lots of
the
different
zombie movies, some of
lores.
them, yeah, some of the newer ones, they're magenta. They have tribes.
And one of the key words is instinctual, though, and so they do seem to be generally driven by an instinct, unless it's one of the things where there's like a puppet master controlling them. Those are more
Right.
old
Yeah.
school
The
zombie movies,
instinct is to eat brains.
yeah.
or
They,
just
they 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 don't care about hazards to themselves. They only care about the goal of eating brains. I see you humming and hawing. Chime in.
I mean, I agree.
Prove me wrong.
I'm not. I'm not trying to prove you wrong. I agree. I can see it from both sides, right? I can see that, yeah, like they're using the most basic part of their brain, right, to find food, and that's to survive. But yeah,
I don't disagree with
not
that.
having a survival instinct makes it a little muddy, I guess.
They're generally not first person zombie movies where we really get into their head and know what where they're coming from. It's
Right.
usually explained over like a radio broadcast or something like in the
Mhm.
Yeah.
background. They like to keep it vague.
Yeah. Sometimes it's completely unknown. Sometimes it's like a neurovirus. Sometimes it's a chemical that the government released.
Oh,
Sometimes it's
Warm
a
Bodies was filmed
mushroom.
from. Have either of you guys seen Warm Bodies?
What is Warm Bodies?
I don't think it was really a horror movie, but it was filmed
Rom-com?
from the kind of. It was kind of, yeah. It was filmed from the perspective of the zombie. It was a
Aw.
Nicholas Holt from The Great. And he's a zombie, and I think Rob Corddry is like his best friend.
Whoa.
And yeah, it
Is this
was
pretty recent?
yeah, within the last like 10 years or so.
And there's love in it?
Yeah, like I think he if I remember correctly, he starts to transition back to like almost being human.
So what's his
Because
motivation? Does he explain
a
himself?
girl.
He starts to
He's sort
humanize
of
because of a girl.
Yes, I
Oh.
think so. I don't remember how they meet,
Don't look at
actually.
me. I think you made this movie up.
No, I'm gonna look it up for you guys. 'Cause I
okay.
know.
Infrared is survival, and so in horror movies the way we get there is by an antagonist that doesn't have a real motive. The shark in Jaws, its motive is also survival. It wants to eat, and it's not doing it for revenge. In the first film, this is where we said series of films, things change, but in the first film it was a shark being a shark, which is to eat. It is the ultimate predator. It's nothing but swim around, which is breathing, and eat. And it gets into human territory and starts to eat people in this sort of resort town. And the movie is based on what are we going to do about this shark. Same with the cold in Day After Tomorrow. It is not motivated to kill. It is not motivated to do anything.
And for the purpose of story, they always personify it as though it were a character because that's good story. That's good radio to have it like, oh, the cold's after us. All right, we're going to fight that cold. I'm going to fight that bear.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
like
pissed.
we can do anything about it.
It's just,
Right.
it's annoyed. It's hungry. It's responding to stimuli. Instinctual, I think, is very key. And I also brought up the movie Frozen, which came out right around the time the movie Frozen came out. So there's a little confusion, and that movie got a little lost in the haze. But a movie about skiers trapped on a chairlift. So you have, the elements. You've got heights, which is an infrared concern. You've got cold for sure. The main antagonist is again cold. But there's also wolves. There's also
Yeah, I was going to say there's got to be. I mean, we could probably climb down, but there's got to be a predator somewhere.
a long
Something
distance to
hungry at the
safety.
end.
So food, shelter, safety, warmth, water, running away from environmental hazards that you don't even know why they're happening. They're just happening. Get out of there. We lost a lot of our species to these sorts of contingencies.
As Homo sapiens, it took a lot of trial and error to understand that volcanoes and earthquakes aren't something that we could ignore, but also don't understand at all.
Our homo bones show up in the most awkward places, and this is why
Boy, we
we
shouldn't have
don't
been there.
have any advanced warning of a volcano going off, or we don't really know what a tar pit's all about. So, but there are
Yes.
yummy mastodons in there, so let's go grab them.
Look, that idiot mastodon is stuck. Oh shit, I'm stuck.
Yeah, so Warm Bodies came out in 2013, and it is classified as a horror/romance film.
Oh,
Love it.
There was a plague that left the planet's population divided between zombies and humans. Nicholas Holt sees his Walking Dead brethren attacking a person and basically rescues her. She sees that he's different, and then they embark on an unusual relationship.
I bet.
And then as their bond grows, he becomes more and more human. So it's
Hmm.
he kind of changes from infrared. I
It's
don't know.
kind of Day of the Dead where they're working on like, okay, let's say you have a zombie and like what is this reassimilatable? Can this thing be
Hmm.
trained? Can they start a new society of zombies now and start developing culture again as zombies?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it seems like. Yeah.
There was a bit of that in the what is it called? Something Army, the Batista film in
Oh,
Las
Army of
Vegas,
the Dead.
Army of the Dead. They were tribal. They were definitely
Yeah,
magenta. These zombies are not infrared.
they were
Not
smart.
infrared yet.
They were
I mean,
smart, and
beyond infrared. They
they
did
had
have
like
some sort of
classes.
society structure, but
Yeah.
it was more when we go from infrared, which is like family unit, you hunt, gather a little bit, but really it's all for us and nothing for anyone else. And then bleeding into magenta, now we're talking about tribes, multifamily. We realize as a species that there is strength in numbers regardless. Just throw wave after wave of men at them, and then we win.
As these little family packs get more settled and better at communicating, the banding together makes a lot more sense, and banding together under common images and common
Mhm.
language and common, lore. So lore starts getting into magenta.
As far as psychology goes, in these newly founded hunter gatherer groups, is you start to have free time. Not every second of your waking life and some of your sleeping life is based on survival.
Mhm.
You have just a little bit of free time, or you're doing a task that is so monotonous, such as picking berries, that you can think about something else while you're doing it. Because there's multiple of you picking berries. All I have to do is make sure a lion doesn't come from that way, because Danielle's making sure a lion doesn't come from that way, which gives me a little bit of free time to think. Then you start to think about causal reaction. Did the lion not come today because we picked enough fruit and then offered some of that fruit to some sort of higher power, whatever that may be? The sun came up today because we lived correctly yesterday, and that all stems from having a little bit of free time to think.
So as societies, it's the hunter gatherer is the key word there, just like instinctual in the personal is kind of a key word. Today, the hunter gatherers are mostly just bones. Hunter gatherers are in the thousands because they'll
Mhm.
immediately start developing out of that. They'll start getting lore. They'll start getting magenta. I like to be brief on infrared because it's kind of annoying.
It's tough. We could talk about it ad nauseum, but
Well, I
not
could
in
talk about
this.
animal films all day.
Yeah, not in this
Well, let's
this
talk
arena.
about animal films a little bit. What else do we have here? We had
Oh my
eight-legged
God.
freaks for spiders. Okay,
Yeah.
snakes.
Anaconda.
Anaconda's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Lake
Yeah,
Placid.
James, snakes don't attack people.
Oh, they don't. The
Yeah.
snake's out here this big?
Yeah, great.
Lake Placid is another
Lake
one.
Placid,
The
giant alligator?
crocodiles.
Crocodile?
Yeah, or
Crocodile?
alligator, whatever.
Yeah, it's
But
like 100
crocodiles have
foot
the
long.
bottom teeth going up, and alligators have them going down.
Oh, I don't
They
know.
both have up and down teeth. An alligator has a more
Like, I
squared
was gonna say it
snout,
has to do
and
with
a
Yes,
the
crocodile has a more
pointy.
point snout.
yeah.
And
Yeah, that's
alligators
that's
have fatter tails.
yeah.
But I thought you
Um,
can look at their mean mug, and the crocodiles,
It's the shape of their mug.
they have an underbout. Oh, I see, I see.
oh, and under, right?
The
Like a
alligators seem to have
crocodile
like
is
an
very
overbite
pointed,
because they have that broad
and an
snout.
alligator is wider and round.
So if you see
Piranha. I mean,
piranhas, yep, piranha 1 through 12.
Komodo. I mean, I
Komodo.
got animal
Okay,
movies
you're
for
in
days.
reptiles now. What else? What else? Reptiles? Is there a turtle? Not very scary. They're
Oh,
cute.
no, I don't think I've
Okay, no
seen a
turtles.
turtle before.
Octopi?
We
Yeah,
watched so
definitely. Like,
Leagues?
creep show Christmas
Creep
special.
show.
There is a where turtle.
where tortoise?
Oh. And creep show
Oh,
too,
where?
the black oil on the water again, primal just fear, like I don't even know what the hell it is and I'm not going to explain it, but it's just this oil on the water that consumes people.
Yeah, that
And
was
once again,
weird.
we have water. We're out of our element. It
And
becomes harder to navigate
Yeah,
because
because we're
we're
not
not.
adept at.
Yeah, we're not water creatures.
if
Mm-mm.
we're talking arthropods, you got giant ants, giant spiders,
Mhm.
Invasion of the Giant Brains. This is what was that era like a film where all the kids would go into the movie theater and watch like short, lame science fiction horror movies about monster invasions. Lots of giant monsters, lots of
Late 60s,
hordes.
early 70s. Yeah.
Do you have any
Mm.
fear of antelope? Do we have any antelope attacks? Deer? Oh, there were elk or deer in The Ring 2.
No,
They
the
attacked that car.
birds. The
The
birds. I
birds!
mean,
The birds!
yeah. Or birdemic. Okay,
Birdemic.
if you want to see a less, yeah.
Oh
This
no,
is
there's the birds. Run
birdemic.
away.
This is
Yeah,
birdemic.
it's heavy, heavy metal.
We
Heaviest
got a
of
freaking
metal.
GIF coming after them.
Um,
Slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse. Yeah, a more recent
No,
one.
there is not
That
a movie
literally,
called Slaughterhouse.
What a
yes,
Get the fuck
cinematic
out of
treasure.
here.
It
it
is so good that it surpassed theaters.
it was well done. Actually,
Surpassed
it was. I was surprised.
We were watching it,
It was
and
so
in
good. They
one
didn't even.
scene, it's the sloth is on its way to a hospital to finish off a kill, and it buckles its seatbelt with its three little long claws. And Danielle's like, "It can buckle its seatbelt." And I was like, "That's the problem you have with this movie?
Not that it
It can,
can't
yeah, it's
reach
driving a
the
stick shift,
it
and the
can't
belt
reach
is
the
where
You bet
pedals,
we
and
can.
yeah,
I mean, it
exactly.
found
Uh,
out she was in the hospital from social media. Like
Yeah,
it shows its little clock clicking a mouse.
you
it
got your
was.
cocaine bear. Early
Oh,
Oh
stages
yeah.
hijacking late stage technology is very dangerous. And if a
uh-huh.
bear gets some cocaine, that's a real problem.
True
Um,
story. Well, based on a true story.
100%
Mm.
true. Monkey. Oh, lots of monkey shines.
Congo,
Congo with with the gorillas,
The
the
great
gorilla
white ape.
is
laser
the white ape.
gorillas,
Yeah,
kangaroos.
Kong. All the like King Kong movies, right? I mean, he's
I feel like in one of the Yahoo Serious movies there was a demented kangaroo, but that was not the point of the movie.
Actually, King Kong. It was probably a better idea than Jaws. King Kong,
It's
because it's
terrestrial.
like he's kind of got personality. He is smart enough to be like a hominid kind of mind. He does have like this weird proto like love thing and
yeah, feelings, yeah.
emotional, yeah,
Hmm.
like kind of
Emotional
reality.
connection to yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. And
Godzilla.
they even elevate Kong like over the dinosaurs, like as a
Yeah.
being is like more worthy of your affections. I'm trying to think if there's any more animals. I think we named all the animals. Butterflies? Attack of the Butterflies?
Mothra. I mean,
Oh my
Mothra in
God!
from
How do you do this?
Godzilla.
Got
I'm
him.
trying to think of the most harmless animals. Like there was a rabbit one. I do remember like Revenge of the Lupins or something like that. Like
Oh my God.
or
Okay.
that's not even the right word. Lupin is
There
wolf.
is a niche B film where it's a Barca lounger.
That's not even a
It's a
fucking animal. Oh,
I
like
know it's not an animal, but it's
you're
a
not saying it's
chair.
I
half
was just
dog,
gonna
half
say.
couch.
Nope. It's a chair with bloodlust.
Pure
Okay, well,
bloodlust.
in that vein, what about the car that kills people? That
Oh,
was
there's tons of
pristine.
those. There's tons of
Yeah,
those
but
just in Stephen
Inanimate
King's work.
objects.
inanimate objects that become vengeful or yeah, have a bloodlust for some reason.
There's fungi.
Bats.
There's plenty of
There were
fungi.
bats. There was a
Oh yeah.
bat movie.
Oh, tons of bat movies. So we see
Fungi.
here like animal attacks. This is one of our most primal fears, like other
Mhm.
organisms that aren't as cool as we are coming around and disrupting our party.
Being prey.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
the prey.
So that's our goal here moving forward from infrared is to take care of this problem where we're being eaten by everyone else. And we're
I'll end
actually
on a
kind of
quick
little and
story for
weak.
this.
And
We would walk up the mountain often at midnight, so the only light we have is moonlight. And we came across a herd of about 100 deer, and some of us in the group were like, "Oh, awesome!" Myself was like, "This is not a good fucking place to be because the deer is stupid and fairly docile, but there are also doe and what are they called, Bambis in here."
Lawns?
There's fawns, there's doe, there's buck,
mm.
there's everything. We can get stomped to death.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yes, they run away most of the time, but in a group this big, they gather in groups this big. Yeah, we can get kicked to
they can
death.
jump
We
kick
should
you.
probably walk around. Yeah.
Out here where I live, someone got jump kicked off a bicycle and almost shattered their damn skull. Those things will those if you startle them, they'll jump kick you. They can hop up like 12,
Um,
20 feet. It's nuts how high those things.
Sabretooth.
Saber-tooth. That's
The
like one of our arch nemesis. Yeah.
I really like that one. That was a good one.
Wolves
Back
of
to
any
back
sort.
evolutionary champs on those ones. We took them
And
out.
Jurassic Park, animal attacks.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And again,
that's
modern
true.
science bringing infrared in.
Yeah, that's true.
Another Michael
All
Crichton.
right. I mean, I feel like we got that one
I feel
pretty good.
I think
I
we
feel
I
covered
think
like we
it.
got this
I
one.
think the animal attacks recap was kind of amazing.
Yeah, I think that
There's
the
so
idea
many.
of a infrared horror movie and what infrared means as far as fear and horror are concerned, I think we've covered it.
Yeah,
There's
because we
lots and
got the
lots of it. You're gonna see
because
infrared
we
a
got
lot
the
in horror.
nature aspect of like, the elements. Yeah, we talked about, the Revenant and like, the Day After Tomorrow.
If you're being tortured and murdered, you're very likely to regress all the way to infrared if
Mhm.
it's really bad. And so in most horror
Yes.
movies, you'll see people acting infrared. That just nothing's going on in their brain except get out, run away,
Survive, get
yeah,
safe.
Run as fast and as far as you can until you trip.
and scream while doing it until you
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah, and while looking backwards.
And you're probably in your underwear and a bra
most
course.
definitely in your underwear.
As
I
if
don't
you're
know
a
if I'm wearing
girl.
a bra, but there it is,
Well,
taunting me.
you may not be in a bra.
The bra's a good decoy. It's like those lizards that like let their tails detach when they get bit. Like
Oh yeah,
someone grabs
Just
you, the
fling
bra
the
comes
bra
off,
at them
and
as an attack.
your boobies pop out. But that's okay because you're safe. Like
thanks killing. Turkeys are the enemy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you
thanks,
go.
Kelly.
It's so good. It's like about the like Plymouth Rock Thanksgiving. You have a bunch of pilgrims running from bloodlust turkeys.
Oh, Homo
Which was
sapiens, what will
weird.
you come up with next?
Wait,
Some of us
hold your
pump
breath,
and
find
some
out.
of us slump. I always bring up Encino Man for infrared because that's a great case study. There's a caveman
Mm.
just in today's world.
Thrust into modern
Pretty
day.
good
Yeah.
depiction. Pretty good depiction of how they act and think. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's a silly movie, but
Movie wasn't taken as seriously as it could have because of Pauly Shore. I like Pauly Shore
I
movies.
love them.
I do too.
So yeah, it's that
That's a
that
great movie, and
caveman-
not necessarily horror for sure.
no,
Mr. Shore,
Definitely a
if you're out
comedy,
there, please
but-
come on our podcast. We still love you. We
Yes,
never
God.
stop
that would
loving you.
be
I know you're
that
not
would be
dead.
amazing. Oh,
Whatever
We said the
fuck he does
Jews. All right, gang. Well, that's infrared.
Buddy.
Tune in for the second half of this episode or another episode. We'll see what happens on the editing room floor.
and hit
Love
that
it.
subscribe button.
Love you. See you in a second.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Way to pimp. Okay, well, let's get out of here.
All right, Beetlejuice.
Man.
So, are you going to end and send me a new invite, or because we're friends, we can just jump on? I don't know how this works.
We're gonna find out